What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode number 4 of Data with Peachey. We are 4 episodes deep, and I'm probably a day late from posting this, so apologies. Again, this podcast is going to be coming out probably every 2 weeks or so, and I know you have been waiting for bated breath. If you're thinking you're going to get something a little different than data governance, I got some news for you. It's still mostly data governance, and I still haven't gotten off that topic. And I know that you're super annoyed, but I promise you that today's episode is still worth it because we're going to key in on one of the critical capabilities as it relates to the data governance stack, and that is data quality. Now, I'm sure you have run into some executives like me that within your business or your firm or your company who think that data governance, first of all, even if they know what it is, think that it's just some bureaucratic red tape, no impacts to the bottom line, and I got to tell you, let's ground ourselves in a little bit of numbers here to make sure that they realize that, in fact, it can enable, in fact, it can make a huge impact to a company's bottom line. So for today's episode, like I said, I'm going to key in on data quality, and let's ground ourselves in numbers according to 2 big players in the space, Gartner and IBM. Now, according to Gartner, bad data quality costs companies an average of $15 million per year. I believe that was a 2016 number, non-inflation adjusted, so you can even imagine what it is today. Next up, according to IBM, bad data quality cost the U.S. As a country, $3.1 trillion. Now, according to me, 73% of statistics are made up on the spot. Now, I say that a little tongue-in-cheek because the idea is those numbers, honestly, they're probably short. I would be willing to bet if you step back and actually find out all of the different ways that companies have data quality issues and the people that are involved in those data quality issues, it's probably a little higher than that. Now that we're on the thing of made-up stuff, in today's episode, little special sauce for you. We're going to talk about creating a basic mathematical equation that you can use after today's episode with your business users and your particular areas. Maybe you're in risk. You can use this in risk because you can actually quantify some data quality errors in a dollars and cents perspective. Now, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm going to reference a screen that's just over here. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting application, just listen to the velvety tones of my voice. And then when you aren't driving and you're in someplace safe, you can go back and actually listen to get this mathematical equation. Now, the mathematical equation I'm talking about is the cost of poor data quality, or CPDQ for short. Now, it is CPDQ equals parentheses T times C times E times TF in parentheses plus O plus R. Now, we're going to talk about specifically what each of those pieces are. First piece of the equation is time, specifically time finding, time correcting issues that they have found. Now, the issues could be blank, null, inaccurate, or need re-verification because the data didn't quote-unquote look right. How many times have we run into a situation where, the data didn't quite look right. I don't really know what to do with this. So we need to go back and re-verify this. And can you go ahead and check that out again? Or can you pull this other data from this other parcel of the warehouse and find those particular things? That's still time spent trying to validate whether the data quality itself is right. So first one piece of the equation is T, time. The next piece of the equation is cost, C. This is the average hourly cost for the employees in question that are doing the things that I mentioned above. That's going to be all the people in between, data analysts, all the way up to directors and executive vice presidents and things like that, and everywhere in between, where we're talking about blanks, nulls, inaccuracies, re-verifications, trying to find out if that data is correct. That is the average hourly wage of those people. Next is actually how many of those people are involved with this particular data issue. So now we got T for time, C for cost, E for employees involved, and the next piece is time frame, TF. Trying to nail down, is this weekly, monthly, or a yearly cost? This is where you're going to enter the time frame appropriately. If you're trying to find a daily cost, a monthly cost, you could probably do it down to the minute if you really wanted to, if that's what you needed to do. But I tend to go towards the yearly cost because that's usually your biggest number. And that's where people's eyes get really big when you're in a meeting and go, do you know that this actually costs us $100,000 a year for this one data issue? That's usually where you get the big eyeballs going, yeah, we should probably fix this. Now, for the last two pieces that I talked about, when you close those parentheses, you get the plus O plus R. O is actually operational impact cost. Now, if you have the ability, did this data issue result in project delays, lost sales? Sometimes it's like opportunity costs and things like that. If you know the number, add it here. If you have kind of a general understanding of what that number could be, still include it. And then the last one is R, and it's related to risk and compliance costs. So if you have this data quality issue, does it put you out of compliance? Does it put you into regulatory issues where you have to pay litigation costs or fines? If you know those numbers, add them here. So again, that calculation, CPDQ equals parentheses, time times cost times employees times the time frame in question, close parentheses, plus operational impact costs, plus risks or compliance costs to the firm. So again, I told you what that shorthand was, and you can go back and check this, episode out and write it down later. Now that we have that out there, let's talk about what a real world example would look like if I were to use this in kind of the hypothetical numbers, right? Suppose you have an organization that its employees spend an average of 4 hours per week correcting data issues. First of all, that would be super nice. It's probably not a large organization. So suppose you just have an organization and those employees spend 4 hours per week on average correcting data quality issues. The average cost per hour of all of those employees' time is $40 per hour, and there are 10 employees that are regularly engaged in the data correction activities. Maybe in this example, they have an estimated operational impact cost of, delayed in projects and lost sales of $100,000 annually. And then they have risk and compliance costs associated with this potential regulatory fine and reputational damage estimated at $50,000 annually. So if you plug in those numbers and you do the calculation, that cost actually ends up costing that particular company $233,200 annually for that data quality issue. And that is one data quality issue, one particular data quality issue. Now, in those 4 hours, maybe they found 10 data quality issues. But you can actually find that when you start to add those things up, especially annually, $233,000 lost. Now, even if you take out the operational impact cost and the regulatory cost, that's $83,000 annually that is lost because of that data quality issue. And if you're like me and you've worked in places, you know for sure that you have more than 4 hours worth of data quality issues that need to be corrected. So that being said, with just this very basic calculation, you can get your way into showing exactly how impactful data quality can be, which, by the way, is a part of data governance for your particular firm. And like I said, this is just kind of talking about the cost to maintain and do business as usual day to day. This doesn't talk about the potential opportunity costs that are lost trying to fix this data issue. And the opportunity cost that is the biggest thing in the industry right now is that pesky thing called AI. You could look at an executive and say, hey, you want to do that cool machine learning AI thingy that you keep learning about? And their eyes get really big and they get super excited and they go, yeah. And you go, cool. That stuff requires good, clean data. And we probably should have sound governance and quality practices and principles in place. So let's go ahead and concentrate on doing that, because you can, again, like in our previous podcast talked about, enable the business to go faster through good, solid, foundational data governance practices. And this calculation that we just came up with can give you the ability to go to your business partners and say, I can quantify your data quality problem. Kind of rounding all of this out. What does it have to do with data governance? This calculation makes an easily understandable case to business leaders to say, hey, these are the tangible costs of poor data quality and poor data governance practices. Now, a good, sound data quality capability, and when I say a capability, I mean a capability exists up here, and there are collections of services with people, process, and technology that support that capability. That's at the heart of a good data governance program. And it makes a really good, compelling argument that more companies should be prioritizing data governance as a strategic business imperative. And it's traditionally been looked at as a kind of a risk-based approach thing, right? Like it's only done because there's too much risk in the organization. Actually, it's both. It is a strategic business imperative and a risk reducer. It has your ability to do both, which is super rare these days. To give you something to say like, hey, I'm going to reduce your risk footprint, but I'm also going to help you generate revenue. Why wouldn't a business do that? So again, data governance is built on a foundation of trust, both with internal and external stakeholders. Having a good sound data quality capability just makes things so much smoother, increases operational efficiency, reduces risks, and then brings the business towards having a future grounded in things like AI and ML. None of it's going to be easy, and it's going to require your business to invest in your first line function, the actual data governance associates, business stewards, SMEs, and the different things within your business that augment and make your data sing and dance and do all the amazing things still have to invest in something like that. Now, one thing I will say, this is all great, but a business person is going to say, well, it takes way too long to get the actual realized benefits from a governance program. And I can understand why they say that. But here's what I would say. This is not a snap your fingers and everything is peachy overnight, right? It's just not going to be that thing. A lot of times, data governance associates are unwinding and digging through quite literally decades worth of data issues and Band-Aids on top of Band-Aids and duct tape and things being held together. So while I have always said that data governance is where the cool kids like to come to, we are not superheroes, right? We were just mortals with passions around data, but it's like planting a fruit tree. In the beginning, it's just growing, budding some flowers, and it looks beautiful, but it's not bearing a single solid piece of fruit yet. However, one day you're going to look and you're going to be like, whoa, you're going to see that first delectable piece of a peach or an apple, or insert whatever the favorite fruit that works on a tree kind of thing, right? And then you're going to realize that all that labor, that love, the watering, the caring and feeding that you put into that tree finally makes it worth it. And data governance is the same way. You put all this labor into it, you invest in it, you care and you feed it, and you do all of the things to bring this forward. All of a sudden, they're going to be able to, bear the fruit of your data, and you're going to be able to do those kind of cool things you always see other companies do. So now I'm hungry, so I'm going to end this podcast. Thanks for tuning in. If you are on YouTube, do all the YouTube things like share, subscribe, thumbs up, leave a comment, do all that stuff. If you are on Apple Podcast or you're listening to this on your favorite podcasting application, please consider leaving a 5-star review. Leave a comment. Say, what is your favorite fruit? Drop that in the comments somewhere. And so that's it. Episode number 4. Probably going to be called something around, I don't know, the real cost of data quality and why you should have a governance program or something like that. But that is it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again, episode number 5.